It will be a defensive change as well for the Sharks as Chris Seeley draws into the lineup for the first time. He's going to wear number 24, which was Donaldson's number earlier in the year. He's wearing 4. Here's a wrister. This will be deflected. That one hurt one of the Wendgo right out in front of the net as the Sharks will take another possession. This one bounces high off the glass, stays in play, and Baldrika will get back on his horse. Again, this is a very slow start by the standards of the Waterford Sharks, but again, you don't have to have necessarily your A unit on the ice in this game, but you still want to make sure on the back end that you don't make any mistakes, you bank your 2 points, and to keep everything healthy and upright. Carolyn Carlisle off the cross pass, looking for one more for Polosha. It was a nice idea for Bowman, but they get the steal anyway. And again, bounced up in the air right at the crease at 14-19 as we get some line changes for both squads. Again, Peter Pappas is the owner of the team staff, and Brandon Nichols is the operations manager. Jacob Gilliam will be the backup here for Geelong. Toward the right side for Micah. Now and off the draw as this one will go just wide to Seeley. We'll pick it up on the backhand and flip this around behind the cage. Sharks has some good puck possession here as they circle, try to find a lane, and this will be sticked away. Pfeiffer gets a piece of it for a moment. Looking for a hip check there to try to pry the puck loose was the Sharks. It's toward the right side red line. It's thrown out in front. Seeley with a reach. He gets canceled off with a stick chop. Bouncing off the glass. And Seeley now will start again. This will flip this puck ahead. Just wide of rule. Picked up now toward the right side blue line. And the Wendgo will flip this on the other end. Sharks get it out and through the neutral. And they got possession here with Jared Pfeiffer. Here's the cross pass. Try to look for another give and go off the missed shot. And this will get flipped back down. So Jarrett right to Brennan. Start again. Under Pfeiffer, nice move. Finds the entry on the backhand. Leaves it off the drop for his brother Jarrett. Jarrett now can walk in, shoot. Good glove save for Gam Payne. That was his best so far at 13:07. Be a face-off win. Theo Goody just keeps it in across the blue line. Is Bradley Gilbert waiting in toward the right side of the paint. Pass will come out now, and the Wendgo immediately turn it over. This is battled in through the neutral zone, but the Wendgo are off. Got to check back on side there. Is Chris Alston. Be flipped back the other way, and a good avoidance of a hit there for the Sharks, both the turn back in their own end. Theo Goody. Again, first game for the assistant captain, so here's a bouncing puck. It'll be recollected in their own end. Sharks be able to start again here for Brennan Cherwalk. Cherwalk now. Work on his backhand, try to feed it out in front, but this bounces off of a skate of one of the Wendgo and Noah Zeman. Theo Goody, step up, survey on his backhand, leave off the drop pass. Sharks will have to recollect across the wall. Turnaround chance and through the traffic. Sharks still have it. Theo Goody try to feed it out in front. Sharks collect down near the left side red line. Spin and turn. And Sharp falls down off the seat of his pants trying to make a play. A little bit too far there for Kennedy. As this will flip back in amongst the defensive end. Both teams in the middle of a change. They pushed ahead for the Sharks. Cole Hogamo on the prowl, one of the wings out in the front. Let's be recollected here for Zach Molkowski. And here's a feed that has the Wendgo try to spring a little bit, but this will be right to the Sharks and Hunter Keppel, who plays in his first action of the year. Pass across from Molkowski. Find an entry here for Keppel across the right wing, avoids a hit. And try to finish on the other end is Hunter. Here's a good pass off the drop, and that one was saved by Graham Payne with the left pad. There's a pass out in front and a beautiful score. Hunter Keppel on a one-timer. And it's 11:06 in the first. Sharks up by a deuce. It's good to see Hunter Keppel in the lineup here for the Sharks as he gets his first of the year. I should be careful saying that so confidently, but I think that was him near the right side dot, number 23, if I made no mistake on the 4 eyes. But we will get the announcements from Zach shortly as this one's tipped off the air from Zach Molkowski. Push the other way now. That one is assisted by Cole Halgamo. Here's Zach. Find the entry across the left wing. Try to split across the pass, looking for Keppel again, who just scored. Zach gets the steal. Sent toward the net and tipped out of the air at 10:38 of the first. And this one's going to go in. They couldn't find the second opportunity there for Grant Payne. And the Sharks now starting to put on the burners here we thought we would see in this game. I'd say it only took a couple minutes to ignite the pilot light, but the Sharks will get a tip and they'll take it. The main thing here, again, as we say, don't get complacent. We know what we have on the Wendgo. You want to try to get those 2 points, but you also got to make sure you keep the extracurricular away and keep yourself upright, because you have a tendency to get things out of hand if it gets out of control later in this period. So Molkowski and Keppel get the assist from Cole Halgamo's goal. Just picked one off the assist. An opportunity now for Polosha. Polosha now backhand feeds the pass across that just bounced off of one of the Wendgo, who was down and out right at the net. Sharks with it, unrelenting. This bounces off bodies and back up behind the net, trying to get chopped out of the air with some hand-eye. Sharks with it now. Played it off the back pass. This will be a spin and turn near to the right side of the boards. And the Sharks have possession here with Paul Drika. Here's a pass dangerously out in front of the crease, and that will be brushed aside by Payne, but the job's not done. Brandon Pfeiffer now for Kieran Carlisle. Rister Polosha rips it in, and this looking like target practice. If I'm going to run out of space on my goal sheet at 9:35, Polosha got one. So I said this to you in the open as we started, and a little bit late for me on the mic as we were getting things settled. But what we're going to want to say is this game story for Saturday probably won't be so long. We'll spend everything on the Sunday side, and that's no disrespect to the Wendgo. But we had one of these games last year with Alpena when they scored over 20, and they don't want to break it down goal by goal. So Sharks finally in possession now. Seeley, spin and turn on the back pass for Jarrett Pfeiffer. Dangerous, and another one. Beautiful stuff. And they just keep pouring on the pain here right at 9:11. So Pfeiffer going to get the assist on one of those at least. And I know for the Go Live crew, they're going to be pretty busy updating the scoreboard as it sits at 5 already for the Sharks. I told that to Zach in the open a little bit. You want to test those vocal cords. I'm going to try to keep everything constrained as much as I can to save for tomorrow, because this could get worse. So the latest one at 9:11, it's 5-0 for the Sharks in an outlet pass. This will be sticked away, but Spencer Bowman try to throw it out in front. Turn on the backhand, as this was a good save there for Galong. Again, a good opportunity for him to score in the column here to get some saves and get a win on the year, because he's a very good netminder. As this one will brush away from Payne toward the right side of the pad. Theo Goody, walk-in ripper off the post and in. 6-0 already. 6:26 in the first. And that one hit the bar and went in past Payne. And whether it is Payne, he's feeling it right now. You got Carl Bartholomew, who is the Cheboygan native on the other side. But you could probably go ahead and put both netminders in if we get to the double-digit marker before the end of the first. I had a feeling that that might happen. Opportunity for the Sharks and off the rush. It's a 2-on-2, and this will go right into the breadbasket here of Graham Payne. Now I'm going to watch here with my 4 eyes and see how far I see a number 1 on the jersey. Again, it's not Graham's fault or Carl's fault if he goes back into this game. The Wendgo are a true expansion team in every sense of the word. Here is a wrist shot, bounces off the end boards. And picked up now for the Wendgo, but they can't get it out, as this will go D to D for Theo Goody, looking for another tip out of the air. Here's a turnaround. That'll bounce in off the end boards, and the Wendgo will at least play this to neutral. Have to take the wins where you can get them. Picked up now for Theo Goody, try to split everybody, walks and shoots and scores himself. My oh my, everybody else was skating in slow motion, but not Theo Goody. Well, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, at 7-0 at 7:34, we still got 2 more periods of play, but we could get a running clock by the time we get to the third. I don't think they put that into the second, but this is a good game for plus minus if you're on the other end for the Sharks, not so good if you're Cheboygan. Toward the right side off the flip, take a D to D. A little bit too far there for Cole Halgamo. See if they're recipient another pass. This one bounces away from Payne. Hunter Keppel. There's a dangerous feed out in front for Molkowski. He'll still circle with it. Make the cross pass now. Donaldson in. My goodness. This is getting ugly here. 8-0 already. 7 minutes into the first. I'm going to keep my wits about me, but that's got to be stopped there if you're Payne. Yeah, I don't blame Peter Pappas here because this is something I don't say very often. We saw it a little bit with the Blue Water Stars a couple of years ago before they kind of moved some things around for the MIHL. So Hunter Keppel is going to get the goal. This is by Donaldson and Jake Prober. But what I was going to tell you was we've seen some of the shuffle for the teams throughout, 4, 8. We've seen the Kalkaska Battlers and before, and some other teams that moved around. Now we got the 8 there alongside Scott Brand. With a timeout already called for Cheboygan, you only get the 1. You want to send a message and say, hey, it's not necessarily just wake up, but you don't want to let the game, as it already is, completely get away from you. But hey, play a little bit better out in front of your netminder and push. Even if you got to sell a little bit for offense, put something positive on that score sheet by the end of this first. I think that's the message that Peter Pappas and company want to be able to send. For the coaching staff, when we get that all squared away, I'll throw that in, as Donaldson tries to stick drag through the whole team. And if you're the Sharks, we'll see if everything else sticks to the game plan here when the scoreline inevitably reaches double digits. Here is a wrister right at the net. We'll see if this one was saved at the goal line or not. As Payne was down on his wallet. Yeah, he's got it right in the glove hand. Good stop for him at 6:26. Normally I would mark all of these on my score sheet as well, but I don't think we're going to need to do too much of that. There's going to be too much space for goals. John Hunter with you on the Red Rink side. It is an offensive zone draw here for the Sharks. I don't want to be disrespectful to the team I cover games for, but whether or not it was a B-plus unit or whatever else, the Sharks are still very good regardless of what they throw out there. And the pain I don't think was going to be lessened at all. Cross pass and in again. That was a tip and a finish here. That was an easy one right at 6:12 and put it right into a yawning cage. There's this dink and dunk right there for the Sharks off a couple extra cross passes, and it's a 9 spot already. So 5:58 in the first. And let's give credit to Zach and the Mason Super. They're running all the stuff from the music that they put in, as they've already had the Snoop Dogg drop they always use, but the Donald Trump drop is something I never heard them use before, and that is a pretty good one there for the Sharks. As this will be one back here for Karen Carlisle. And again, able to start again. We're going to say that a lot. And off the drop for Nolan Baldrika. Here's Pelosha, cross pass, one-timer, and a slide across, and no moss through the 5-hole. A little Roberto Duran. It's already 10. Again, there's a stern reminder from me that what you see on Sunday is not going to not be what you would see at all on this Saturday against the St. Ignace Saints, and that's the danger that the Sharks are going to have in this weekend. But I want to see Cheboygan find a goal here in this period. That is the one thing I want to see for them. As it's picked up now for Pelosha off the cross, and that would have been a walk-in again. Cheboygan just looks a little slow, and I'm not saying it because of the score line, but you got to be able to actually matriculate a couple of passes here to get in the other end of the neutral zone and then in the offensive zone and then win some puck battles and push a little bit. Otherwise, the Sharks are just going to continue to do what they do. Here's a walk-in wrister, bar down, snipe. Holy cow. Nolan Baldrika. It's 11-0 at 4:53. What do I even mark for my Facebook post when we get to the first intermission? So Baldrika gets the goal. Theo Goody now and off the drop near the right side boards. This will be centered out with a one-timer and in again. And this is just a practice, ladies and gentlemen. But this is 2 points on the line here. We'll go long. If the Sharks wanted to, they won't do it. But if they got in the third period, they could try to play with an extra man. Just to give Cheboygan a chance here. And I'm trying to be as professional as possible. But this is rough right now. So another one-timer in the back of the net. And Zach has his work cut out for him as this goes into the Sharks bench at 4:18. The latest one we have is at 4:53. I'm still waiting for the announcement from Zach. I don't blame him. He's got a lot to write on his score sheet. They're going to run out of space like I am. Theo Goody. Found the entry now near the right side wall. Be picked up for Jared Pfeiffer. And back in behind the net again. That's at 4:07. So the 4:25 is blank, and we just got another one at 4:07. And I'm trying to make sure that I'll have to rewind the tape once all this stuff gets published here before the game story, just to get a couple of those. But if Zach announces, I'll write those down and then resume the play-by-play. But it's 13-0 at this point, and this is going to be as ugly as I've ever seen in this league. Jared Pfeiffer gets through the 1-on-4. Wrister, this one hits the glass, stays in play as Jake Prober sends it around the end boards and flip back down. So for Jake, as the icing gets waved off, Rogalong had to make about 4 saves in this period, but the Sharks have 13 goals. Little backskate magic for Jared Pfeiffer. Now Spencer Bowman walks in. Pfeiffer shoots. This one's saved up and out of play. Be a face-off one straight back by Brendan Sherwalk. He picked up here for Noah Zeman. Zeman on his back pass gets intercepted. And here's a cross-ice feed. Alex Sharp backhand, and Bowman just hits the glass. As Jake Prober on a severe pinch. Go back to Sherwalk now. And flip it in amongst the inboards. Zeman try to get it out of his own end, and Wendgo have a little bit of a step here. See what we can get on a backhand. Good cancel off, and alongside for the Sharks defense and Donaldson. He got it away from Jeremy Kennedy. This will be flipped back in amongst the end boards. Opportunity sent back. This will not be iced against Waterford, and they will get the steal. Cross pass feed, bounces off a few skates, and it'll be settled back amongst for Sherwalk toward the left side red line. Be recollected on the backhand here for Alex Sharp. Pinched in deep, Prober shoots through the traffic. That one's saved, but the second one is not. 14-0. So Jake Prober is at least going to get an assist for that one. And I don't think Zach is going to put any more announcements here on the other side, so I'll have to go through the box if this goes all the way across or whatever camera shots we get on Go Live. So at 2:18, it's 14-0. And I talk about the running clock in the third period. If they can get that into the second, that's probably makes a lot of sense, as this will be sent back down. Picked up here for Bradley Gilbert. And this is coughed up at the blue line here. Zach Mulkowski. Make a calm skate back into his own end. And the Sharks have Cole Hogemo pinched down in front. He's the one lone forward, as the Sharks can take their time and do what they want. Again, this game is essentially over here from the first. Mulkowski now, a couple of stick handles as he finds himself near the right side boards. And the only thing I worry about in a game like this, where the scoreline is where it is, if Cheboygan wants to take a little bit more of an exception to the rule, considering where the scoreline is. But we'll see as we go forward. Mulkowski off the cross pass. Seeley tried a one-time, but he fanned on it. Mulkowski walk in, shoot, hit the glass. Jared Pfeiffer, one of the last men back there with Seeley, as the Sharks have seemingly won every puck battle in the first. And this will be flipped back down. Rogalong. And off the touch. There's mercifully just 1 minute remaining here in this first. Hunter Keppel on his backhand. We'll leave it across here for Justin McComas and Pfeiffer to pin through the traffic, and that one is held on to from a chance from Zach Mulkowski. So the goals at 4:25, 4:07, and 2:18 I do not have on the score sheet, with the exception of Jake Prober getting an assist at 2:18. So We'll see if that continues into the second. And again, I'm not blaming Zach for that. I think you just don't want to keep throwing those announcements on the board because you don't have to at this point. Theo Goody. And off the sauce. One more feed, but this will go back to Theo. About 30% speed there as he finds a chance to get this around Grayson Cross. Sharks with a cross ice feed as Kieran Carlisle will pick it up. Carlisle on his forehand. He'll spin and turn. This will be off the drop pass for Theo Goody. Give it back to 16. Kieran Carlisle, a little step through attempt. Be picked in across the bumper here for Theo. Polosha on that left side dot. Down to 4. Sharks got to shoot it if they want more opportunity. They won't get one. But at the end of one, 14-0 Sharks against Cheboygan. And as I said, Sunday's game tomorrow, 2:30 against the St. Ignace Saints, will be completely different. But as it is, 40 more minutes to call. Come back. We'll talk about it a little more. See you in a bit.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter which you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
Where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened?
Your friend's not breathing.
She's dead? Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
It's been so amazing to be able to give our child the life that we kind of pictured us having, even though we didn't really have that.
I've been in foster care my whole life.
He's so strong to just be able to leave that all behind and still be able to take care of his daughter and be a good husband.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone.
We've been through so much in our life, and he never used that as an excuse, but as motivation to do better.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hey, can you chop the pineapple? Chop the pineapple.
Nope, I'm high. How about I wash off the grapes?
Yes.
Okay. You're already making good decisions when you're high.
I want tacos. Will you drive? I'm a little toasty.
Nope, I'm high. Let's order in.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter which you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
Where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened? Your friend's not breathing. Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
It's been so amazing to be able to give our child the life that we kind of pictured us having, even though we didn't really have that.
I've been in foster care my whole life.
He's so strong to just be able to leave that all behind and still be able to take care of his daughter and be a good husband.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone.
We've been through so much in our life, and he never used that as an excuse, but as motivation to do better.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hey, can you chop the pineapple? Chop the pineapple.
Nope. I'm high. How about I wash off the grapes?
Yes.
Okay.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
I want tacos. Will you drive? I'm a little toasty.
Nope. I'm high. Let's order in.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just got the announcement here from the start of the second period that Zach is throwing it across. They elected for the quick start and no resurfacing. We kind of know the damage that already happened from the first period, and I won't sugarcoat it to you. Again, I'm not going to give too many shout-outs here, but we got Polsha, Keppel, Theo Goody is drawn in the lineup for the first time this year. He's got a couple, Keppel the same, Nolan Baldrika, a couple for him as well. That it's been one-sided. You see that on the scoreboard here as we're about 90 seconds here from the puck drop of the second period. Now, again, for the reminder, what we see today is not what we're going to see 2:30 on Sunday against the St. Agnes Saints. So that's why I said you got to keep your expectations in check. You knew the Sharks were going to, regardless of what they threw out today, we're going to come out with a fever. But you got to find a way to table a lot of that into Sunday. Get up, get another 2 points off the early start, although technically they have the later game of all the teams that are up at 2:30. And find a way to push and get another 2 points, because the 2 points here necessarily today was a given. But you got to find that same momentum and tap into whatever reserves you have from today and tomorrow and make sure you're ready for the task. So that's the most important thing, because after that Sunday game, it is a single game next Saturday on November 22nd, 5:30 against the Muskegon Voyagers, and then another back-to-back December 5th on Friday against the Michigan Shadow at 7:30, who are certainly going to want revenge against the Sharks after getting a 10-8 defeat last Friday. And then the Warhawks again, who played them to an 11-8 game last time we saw us here in the Red Rink. So there's still a lot for the Sharks to do, maybe not so much for this game. But again, you have to keep the intensity and focus, especially for tomorrow. So that's my reminder to throw across the board. As far as the NHL marker, let me see if I can find that really quick before we get into our puck drop. The Sabres and Red Wings, 5 minutes expired, no goals just yet. Let's see if there's any finals here for you. I thought the Global Series might have been played today, but that was not today. A lot of late games here. The Lightning and Panthers in the Battle of Florida. That's 2-1 at 13:15 of the third. Jack Finley gets his first of the year. Brad Marchand already has 12 on the year, considering the 37-year-old still getting the job done. He's been excellent. Again, the Panthers just outside of a playoff spot. They're hoping to get Matthew Tkachuk back in maybe about 3.5 weeks. Again, Brady's still injured for Ottawa, but both of the brothers have recently started a podcast. You might want to check that out as well. We'll get more of those scores as we get in toward the second intermission. But we're underway here with the Sharks. Again, they scored 14 in that first. And now we'll see what they want to do here as Christopher Martin had a drop pass here for Theo Goody. Theo, in toward the left side of the rail, and here's a flip right across the ice. It was pretty nicely played for Kieran Carlisle. Here's a one-timer, and this will be fought off and saved. I want to see if I find a double zero on the side of the arms for Bartholomew, or whether or not Graham Payne is still in. I'll try to monitor that as we get a stoppage. But the first save was made for the Wendgo in that second period. Now the Sharks don't have to do any attacking at all, but you still want to be able to just get your reps and do everything the right way, as Polosha up the back pass here for Kieran Carlisle, and that one was just wide. Picked up now and near the right side of the crease. This one's tipped a couple times. There was traffic on in front of the Cheboygan net. Donaldson looked for a tip. This bounces right in front of the Wendgo. Opportunity Bowman will just sauce it back as they'll go D-to-D. Donaldson look for a tip out of the air. That one goes high. And behind the net is Bowman gets retrieval. Cross ice feed. And toward the right side bumper, and Donaldson will play this. And off the back skate. Bounces off the glass here for Pfeiffer. And we'll start it again. Picked up here for Formica. Formica now as Bowman was waiting across the open wing. Still wide open on the left if they can get that there, but Donaldson will recollect the cross ice feed. Good bounce pass. Picked up now here for Brennan Pfeiffer. Brennan on his backhand. Here for Donaldson. And this will be sent back down into the neutral zone. Donaldson, step through on his backhand, just gets sticked away, and Pfeiffer tried to hold it in, he could not. We get a stoppage right at 17:46 as both teams make wholesale changes. think I do see George Holt in behind the bench for the Sharks today. Player coach is getting some action in behind the bench. He did suit up for the opening game of the year for the Sharks. Flipped in their own end and start again from left to right. Again, the Sharks are wearing the home whites in the mix of the orange and black striping. Jared Pfeiffer, one-timer, and that one's in. It's the first goal of the second period, and Theo Goody is going to get the first one of the second. Maybe Rude Boy is appropriate to play here at this point as it's 15-0. I know Theo Goody has the goal. Again, if we do get any announcements, we'll get those assists. As this pass, a little bit dangerous off the stick lift, but the Sharks will find it. And they'll flip this one back in. Picked up off the backhand here for Peyton Engstrom. And it'll be sent back down. Goody, who just scored. He's got a hat trick on the game. Theo on his backhand walks in, tries to do it himself, and Bartholomew makes the save. Again, we did get our goaltending change in the second. I'll mark that in my notes once we get the stoppage, as they're going to get an icing here against the Wendgo. So Carl Bartholomew is going to join in on the fun in this second period for Cheboygan. Offensive zone draw win for the Sharks as this goes wide of the right post. Picked up now and toward the right of the bumper and off the cross pass. Sharks chance bounces off the right pad of Bartholomew, and we'll see if the Wendgo can stick this one ahead. There's a rolling puck and a race for it now. Wendgo got to be quick on it here if they want to make something happen, as this gets sent back down the ice. Robert Nelson, oh, he gets hit very hard, and that's going to draw a crowd. That was maybe the most unnecessary thing the Sharks have done in this game. Hopefully Nelson is okay as we get some big fists. That is Cherwalk throwing some fists. I want to see what the number is on the other end. Cherwalk is throwing absolute bombs. I don't have a great sight line on my end. I think Goal Lab's going to pick that up for me. So that was the one thing I can say positive for the Cheboygan Wendgo, not the hit that Robert Nelson had to take, because that was rough into the left side dot. But you got to be able to stick up for your teammate. And if Cherwalk's got to be ready to answer the bell. So it's going to be an offensive zone draw. It'll be a penalty here for the Waterford Sharks, probably a little bit of an instigator call. So Cherwalk gets cost for the board and the 5 for fighting. But this is going to be the best chance that the Cheboygan Wendgo are going to get all game here. Try to do something on the power play. As this will be flipped back here for Christopher Martin. Send it back for Bartholomew. Bradley Gilbert try to get things right to left. Again, the Wendigo's jerseys, nothing wrong with those. You just got to be able to get something from the defensive end to the neutral zone to the offensive end and break that extra 90 feet somehow, but they just can't get through each part of the zone. Zach Molkowski, beautiful defensive work. And it'll be flipped back down here for Chris Martin. 55 seconds left on the kill here for Waterford. Sherwalk draws in the lineup the first time this year, and he was throwing some absolute bombs. Cole Helgamo, that's a good-looking pass right out in front that was saved by the left pad of Bartholomew. Cross ice feed, and off of a 3-on-2, Wendigo can't find the entry. Looking again now for Donaldson, look out. Little hand grenade as this one gets flipped back down into the defensive end of Cheboygan. Want to see something good for them to call. They're down 15-0. They've only given up one in the second so far, but probably a little call off the dogs, I would imagine, for George Holt and company for the Sharks, as they will punch this off the glass and kill the penalty. Still got the Fighting Majors to be absolved at this point. Here's a spin and turn for Kieran Carlisle. Carlisle, he's got two players in his grill. The Sharks escape with the puck, and they look for a cross-ice feed for Nolan Baldrika. Baldrika now slows up, surveys. Here's a cross pass for Pfeiffer, and toward the right side, pull shot. They'll spin and turn in that Bermuda triangle near the right side dot. Here's a drop feed. Pfeiffer sends it around for Andrew. This one gets slowed down for Chris Seeley. And Cheboygan. Try to spin and turn off the skate would be the recipient of it. Good stick in the lane. Here for Pfeiffer to steal for a moment. And Seeley provides support on the back check. Sharks. Baldrika. Beautiful toe drag. Works his way on the backhand. Hits the netting. 12:58 left in the first, but what I like to see on the left side of that scoreboard, the clock continues to run. So we might be able to get out a little early tonight, which will make both teams a little bit happy here. So Joe Skolin will take the draw, as this will be knocked away and the Wendigo on a 2-on-2. Stick right in the lane and the Sharks will steal. Good work for Pfeiffer. Put it in off the forehand now for Jarrett. Right in the net, and that one's tipped and in. Good play there for the Sharks right at 12:15. So that at 12:15 and now it's 12:12. So I'm trying to see if they're just going to let this clock run or not, which I think they are. They already started to do a little bit in the second. Again, the period still says 1, but it is the second period here, as we are ahead for the Sharks. It's a 2-on-3, and Donaldson has just bounced back to him near the left side boards. Ooh, opportunity out in front, but a little bit too far there for Skolin. Theo Goody will send this one now for Donaldson. We're almost halfway through this game here. It'll be a flip ahead, and near the right side boards. Lofted out of the air beautifully for the Sharks, but they're canceled off near the right side. Here for Chris Alston. And a rush the other way for Cheboygan. Try to make something happen here for James Manghese. This one is played down to a knee here for the Sharks, for Spencer Bowman. They probably could have gave him a penalty for putting his hand on the puck there, but they're going to let this one go ahead, as Pfeiffer will throw this one ahead for Skolin and toward the right side boards. We will get a whistle here in a fight. Oh, some giant punches being thrown, and that was a mismatch and a half. Thank goodness I looked over. I was wondering what the whistle was for. That was outside the weight class, and I'd recommend not to do that again. Let me double check my roster sheet here, just in case I'm not falling all over myself. Yeah, Joel Skolin is wearing 77. That is the most one-sided fight I've ever seen. I tongue-tied myself there, but Joel Skolin, I mean, he was, 3-4 bombs to the Wendgo player that was down there. I did not see the number by the time that was going, and it was already over. You can't continue to take punches like that and still stay upright. That's impossible. He might get the most one-sided fight of the year. I know this is just game 4 for the Sharks. Again, the Shadow and the Sharks have one game in hand of every team in the South, let alone every team in the North. But again, you got to try to win your division first and get a higher seed, regardless if the playoff structure is going to stay for all 8 teams or not. But that was the danger here. When you see the type of scoreline, you knew you were going to get some fisticuffs, and make sure that the Sharks stay healthy and upright, as we talked about. That's the most important thing. See 4 minutes right now on the board here for Waterford. I wonder if that's going to be changed or if there is a double minor instigator coming. So I would imagine after Peyton Enstrom gets cross-checked and instigated against, he's going to have to drop the gloves. He did. He got absolutely worked. And then the Sharks will get 2 minors on top of that. Engstrom standing up for himself. If you're Cheboygan, that's got to fire you up at least a little bit to find a way to get something positive, doesn't it? As they get a 4-minute double minor to work with. So if they score here inside the 2 minutes, they would at least get another opportunity, but they got to start connecting some passes. Be flipped back into the neutral zone. Here is Justin McComas. Here the left side, Dotton Bartholomew's got it in the trapper. So I did notice, again, as I mentioned, about the 13-minute marker that the clock was running for a moment, but they have elected to stop that here. Maybe alongside that they've pushed it too early, or at least give the Wendgo their full 4 minutes allotted on the power play. Either way, you got to get the reps and find something to bring that's positive into this game, regardless of whether or not you pick up 4 points or anything else. So Rogalong, his first opportunity to at least look outside of his crease, and on a backhand. And this will be stick chopped into the corner. That's where Alex Sharp is. He needs some help to win that battle. On the back end, you got Peter Pappas there waiting for the puck as this goes out from Rory Mulready. Here's a flip pass that's picked off expertly here for Chris Martin. Try to push the other way. And the Wendgo almost skate into their own way. They do find an entry now. Got to try to let a shot go here for Jeremy Kennedy. Here's a pass that's deep into the left side red line off the outside of the post. And Galong hasn't had much to do just yet. It's loose out in front. And if I'm the defense here, even for Pappas, who's playing on the side as extra forward, I would just push. Why not try to push there? and get a goal rather than waiting on the blue line side. Sharks have a 2-on-1 shorthanded. That is a great save, Bartholomew. That's a highlight you could throw on a 2-on-1 shorthanded. That got his team there off the bench. And a pass gets deflected off the tip of the stay plate, and Galong fans on it. Got to be a little more clean in his own end. He'll get this toward the left side dot. Goody will get it out. 8:40 left to go in this second. Be sent back here for Hunter Keppel off a rolling vulcanized rubber. Pass from 50. Find the entry now, Malkowski. A little bit of a stumble there. Helgamo still got it. Here's the feed. Mister, this looks behind him as Bartholomew, but he's got it. .128 left to go in the power play, the double minor for the Wendgo. The good news for them is they've only conceded 2 in this period, but the Sharks haven't had to really press. They did all their damage in the first one. They scored 14. Malkowski work his way in his own end off the drop pass. This will be flip. Cole Helgamo, a little bit of a cheat there for Carl Bartholomew. Will play it, try to push ahead to his forwards, and Zach, no problem for him, as the double minor is down to 1 minute here for the Wendgo. Off the long flip, that's nicely played. Pfeiffer with Helgamo, and a good stick in the lane. Got knocked that away for Bobby Reed. Excellent work there. As this will be near the left side dot. Sharks matriculated on the opposite end now. About 7:25 left to go in this middle stanza. 16-0 Waterford, scored 2 in this period. One of the players goes down, don't see a hand in the air. Malkowski at the bumper. Helgamo on his backhand, not a bad look there. And between his skate blade is Zach. Looks for a tip play, and Bartholomew's got none of that. He finds it. So 12 seconds in the double minor remaining. Polosha looks like he's going to get set to take this draw. I don't know if that music is psychedelic or scary, as here's a slapper for Donaldson. Bartholomew's got it. Kind of sounds like if Jaws himself took some LSD. That's what I'm hearing right now. But anything can make it delirious when you see this type of score. As this will be flipped back down. Off the stick of Seeley, and the Sharks have killed the double minor. They've taken a couple penalties as we get an icing hand in the air. So before this game had started, I would say days before I got the link out and everything else across Mama Shark and everything else, they were saying this game might have been pushed back an hour because maybe they couldn't find referees, but they got that all squared away and got us from a 6:30 start. There was a 2-on-0 here. They'll let Polosha take it, and he hits the glass. Again, if it was a different score line, you would think that would be absolutely buried. Little target practice for 61, but he doesn't finish it. But that's okay. It's 16-0. He does have the inverse of his jersey. Again, Kieran Carlisle's jersey's on the scoreboard right now. Speaking of that, Kieran's going to take the draw. Here's a rush right through the middle of the circles here, as this will be stopped and at the line. Now Seeley will provide the back end support as this goes in toward the left side red line. Looks like Malkowski's already been double shifted cross ice feed. That deflected. Kieran Carlisle tried to pick it up off the second effort on his backhand. A little bit too far. For Seeley and Galong. We'll come back out, play this puck. Whip it around. Kieran bounces off his skates. Let's see what the Sharks will do from end to end. Here's a pass from 50. Nolan Baldrika. There's a battle on the left side blue line. And this will belong to the Wendgo. Alston will make this pass ahead for Brandon McLean. McLean takes a hit. Try to get this one cross ice, but nobody at the blue line. So Peter Pappas' squad's got to check back up here. We'll get a whistle at 5:41. I know whether it's foot speed or skill, you can say one thing, but I'm saying this as the broadcast announcer and not even as the players or anything on the ice. And I know the game is fast and the way that things go, but you got to cheat for offense here because the differential is not going to change otherwise. And even if it gets worse, you find a way to get some goals on the score sheet. There's another save for Bartholomew, who's kind of slowed some things down. Again, Sharks be able to call off the dogs, so to speak. But that's what I want to see. Just dig for offense here if there's Cheboygan. You got to find something. You can't get shut out. This will be flipped back in amongst the end boards. Now for Alston. And on the backhand, McLean will throw this ahead, and Alston one more time. Nice skate through. That's a good play there. Try to get a shot off here and go long off to brush this with the stick. As this will be a nice read for the Sharks. And will circumvent. That's going to connect Spencer Bowman. And pretty good work there for Spencer off of the breakout pass. But Bartholomew able to cancel that off as he's got it. So the Sharks still finding some of those same opportunities regardless of the scoreline. Now, granted, they're not pressing as much, but I think that's what I would like to see for Cheboygan because we said it about a week and a half ago between the Warhawks when it was an 11-8 game. They knew what their game plan was, and even if the Warhawks don't match up with the Waterford Sharks, I wouldn't be able to say that for Jake Tomalak's squad because they looked really good. They had a specific game plan that they wanted to execute against Waterford, and I thought they did it to great effect. They really, really pushed, and even when the Sharks had scored 4 straight just a couple weeks ago to try to push it away from the Warhawks, they found a way to fight to get back into the game consistently because they hunted at the red line, they took their chances, and they didn't care if they gave up some goals on the other end. Settle back down now for Bradley Gilbert. He's thrown in the zone now for Rogue Long. Sharks in the home whites. Able to get this one ahead now for Alex Sharp. Sharp could walk in if he wants. He goes for the short side snipe. He gets turned around a little bit in behind the net. This will be recollected here for Alex. Funneled in the corner now. That's where McComas was. Theo Goody steps up with the stick chop. Couple of tie-ups here for Sharp. We got Mokowski with them. We got Goody now at the bumper. For the left side, McComas hits the netting at 3:38. Joel Skolin is a permanent member for Nick Parrott's squad as the GM. You would think that that's a pretty good addition. He's shown a little bit of his scoring prowess and a little bit of physicality in this game. But again, he got some key points in that 10-8 win over the Shadow last week at Fraser. Here's a stick chop here. The Sharks able to win the battle of Donaldson now. Will help provide support. 3:20 left to go as they finally flipped it to the second period here. 16-0 still your scoreline. Sharks scored 2 in this period. There's been a couple fights to tell you about. Hunter Keppel has a couple in this game and flipped out of the air off with a rebound at 3:08. Again, if you're listening in on the first time, I just want to make the clarification for myself. considering where the score line is, I'm keeping the voice a little bit on the lower end of the tier because I want to preserve it for tomorrow. And also, I got to get back into the streams myself at John Reinach. I haven't been able to do so through the first few weeks because I've been busy with a lot of other things to tell you about as far as life updates. So a little bit in conservation mode today. Offsides are the Wendgo. You get some full cell unit changes for both. And math is not my strong suit, ladies and gentlemen, as I've said before. But it would be officially, to this point, if it doesn't changes, 6 goals for the Wendgo and 74 against. And that's just not where you want to be now. I know we say true expansion team and the like, as this is toward the right side of the blue paint. Walk-in shot, good save there for Bartholomew, close the 5-hole. But the Sharks have been able to close entry in every zone. Seeley absorbs the hit, stays on his feet. Polosha, not a Chris, as he'll leave it back and across the blue line. He'll get back into his spot. Walk around now, Baldrika. He'll get it back. Chance to play with the puck here for the Sharks and see what they want to do. Trying to make Bartholomew move and then put it in the back of the net. 17-0, 153. They were as patient as they wanted to be there. So they got Jarrett Pfeiffer's jersey number on the board as it sits at 17 for the Sharks. Baldrika, slapper. It should feel pretty good there for a stop at 141. Baldrika was trying to find something right after that beautiful passing play that the Sharks had about 10 seconds ago with a walk-in slapper. Skolin. He had 9 straight penalty minutes with the fight, an instigator and a cross-check. As 77 is back out on the ice. Again, that's normally Nolan Baldrika's number. I haven't seen him suit up yet this year. Cross-ice feed and bum with a little bit of a lift as we got about 80 seconds left. Here is an opportunity for Skolin. One more cross pass from Bowman. Bowman was being unselfish there. I like that from the captaincy, considering where the scoreline is. Pfeiffer, Brennan now, moving off the drop. Skolin's pass, find the entry across the left wing. Sharks will take this feed. Bounce away from Skolin, picked up now for Pfeiffer. Throws it into the corner. And off the long flip, stick chop and a push ahead, long shot DeLong, able to play that one into the right side boards. That will count as a shot on goal, but maybe at the edge of a shift there as the Sharks. Jared Pfeiffer got it now, racing across the right wing. Pfeiffer sends it across the goal mouth, and this is between the 5-hole Bartholomew. We're at 23 seconds. Brennan Sherwalk takes his draw. It's right toward the blue paint. And this will be settled back down for Donaldson. About 15 seconds left to go. That one hits the glass, bounces out in front of the slot. Donaldson there. And down to 5 here, as this will be settled back in behind the inboards. That ends the second frame. Sharks score 3 times, but more importantly, those fights to tell you about. Sherwalk and Skolin gave as good as they got. And we got one more set of 20. Hopefully it'll be running at this point. 17-0 Sharks after 40. We'll come back, we'll finish it off.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
Where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened? Your friend's not breathing. Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
It's been so amazing to be able to give our child the life that we kind of pictured us having, even though we didn't really have that.
I've been in foster care my whole life.
He's so strong to just be able to leave that all behind and still be able to take care of his daughter and be a good husband.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off.
This cannot be real.
I could not have done it alone.
We've been through so much in our life, and he never used that as an excuse, but as motivation to do better.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hey, can you chop the pineapple? Chop the pineapple.
Nope. I'm high. How about I wash off the grapes?
Yes.
Okay.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
I want tacos. Will you drive? I'm a little toasty.
Nope. I'm high. Let's order in.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
Let's go.
you'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Make a plan today.
Where's your emergency? Everyone's on their way. What happened? Your friend's not breathing. Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
It's been so amazing to be able to give our child the life that we kind of pictured us having, even though we didn't really have that.
I've been in foster care my whole life.
He's so strong to just be able to like leave that all behind and still be able to take care of his daughter and be a good husband.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone.
We've been through so much in our life, and he never used that as an excuse, but as motivation to do better.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hey, can you chop the pineapple? Chop the pineapple.
Nope. I'm high. How about I wash off the grapes?
Yes.
Okay.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
I want tacos. Will you drive? I'm a little toasty.
Nope. I'm high. Let's order in.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
Okay. So let's get started here. We're going to be getting into the third period. Let me give you an update. As far as the Red Wings and Sabres, that one's tied at 1. They're just about to start the second period. Patrick Kane has come back in the lineup, got his third of the year. Again, Buffalo native from Ben Chiarot. Alex Tuck got an unassisted goal. As far as our Sharks setup, again, it was 14-0 after 1. 17-0 now after 2. So the goals, not so important. But let me tell you this. And between the new Shark, Joel Skolin, again off the shadow alone, we'll see if that's permanent fixture here. There was a fight between him and Peyton Engstrom. Now for Skolin, the Shark had 9 penalty minutes on that play. The 5 for fighting that you normally get. An instigator and a cross-check. And once it was accepted, I mean, it was a one-sided destruction derby there. So I want to see if that dictates anything extra happening in this third period. And also for Brendan Cherwalk, who was one of the new Sharks that entered in the lineup again. Last week it was Tyler Groth at 14, not Cherwalk. But Cherwalk enters the line today. He crushes Robert Nelson near the left side of the right dot. He gets a boarding call. Then there was fists. And we'll see what follows. Those fights for the Sharks between Skolin and Cherwalk were one-sided. But I think those are all also ones that, if I'm being as honest as possible here, which I'm allowed to be without going overboard, ones that you also maybe have a message for down the line. Now, Cheboygan's not going to be able to make that adequate message statement sent in on the scoreboard. But if they want to make things a little bit nasty in future meetings, they could certainly do so. So that's just something that we have to monitor. And as I said, for tomorrow's game, which will be 2:30 Sunday against St. Ignace only has the one loss on the year. They lost to Kalkaska in their last part of the outing. So much better squad. Again, we're going to see a game that should be completely different coming into tomorrow. But for the Sharks, it's still the same possibility of trying to get 4 points in a weekend. You knew that they were going to bank the 2 today. We'll see if we get the running clock or whatever else added in there. But I just wanted to throw the intrigue out as far as the hits, because that might escalate some things in a game that has already been said and done from 8 minutes played in the first. We'll see more or less what we get. I just wanted to make note of that. Let me flip back into the NHL really quickly as we're waiting for everything to get situated on the ice, because I did see that Alex Newhook of the Montreal Canadiens has sustained a serious injury. He's going to be out, I believe, almost 2 months, maybe give or take a little bit less. The Canadiens have not played as well of late. They're in a 1-1 tie against the Boston Bruins. Now, raise your hand if you had the Bruins sitting at third in the Metro. They are 11-8 this year. Ottawa's 9-5-4 with 22 points. And Montreal also has 22. It's a three-way tie for first in the Atlantic. Montreal now sits at 10-5. They've lost 2 straight. So with some of the injuries they've sustained, we'll see if they hold it. That's important because the Red Wings are 2 points out at 20 with a whole host of teams. We'll get a little bit more of that toward the end of this game, and then we'll preview what's next. So let's get back into it here as the Sharks can start this one from right to left. Cross-ice feed for Polosha, a little bit off at 19:33. I have not seen the running clock yet. Again, they've had a chance to run that in the second for a few minutes. Hopefully they get a chance to pick that up a little bit later in this game, if not right now. Be a neutral zone draw upcoming. Kieran Carlisle now will take it for Nolan Waldrika. He's got a couple in this game. Polosha was going to make a beam right toward the net. And this will be put back down for Alston. Sharks will appropriately steal, which as they've done throughout every single zone that they've controlled in this game. I know the score line is going to dictate one thing, but you've got to be able to move your feet if you're Cheboygan. I think that's even what some of the other road fans are saying here Here's an opportunity toward the right side boards. Picked up right at the net. Try to get a shovel attempt for Kieran Carlisle, but Bartholomew will make that save. Again, he has played most of the second. Now he's going to probably finish this off as the Sharks are off again at 18:46. Get another neutral zone draw here. As we take a look at Brendan Pfeiffer, number 96. This will go back here for Cheboygan again. They are in the red and black. This one will be intercepted. A little fan on right in front of the net. You can't do that. And McGeezy now will try to throw this ahead. But the Sharks are there to pick it off on the neutral zone blue line. Jared Pfeiffer shoveling in the corner. That's where Spencer Bowman is. Donaldson punching off the glass. Jarrett gets the steal. Cross ice feed, a little bit too far there for Bowman. A little reverse 1771. Directly in behind the net. Sharks try to feed it. Donaldson, recollect, bounces off a skate. Donaldson's got to be quick about this a little bit. Sharks there off the back check. That's Brendan Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer near off the right side of the boards, directly in behind the net. That's where Will Golong is. On track to get his first win in his first game, full. Here is Pfeiffer off the drop feed for Jarrett. Good combination play for the brothers. About 17:30 in this third. Donaldson right into the breadbasket of Bartholomew. Now, all things considered, he has played well. I know it's not either one of the goaltender's faults here, but he just hadn't had any push. And the fact that I could actually tell you that there wasn't a single push makes me a little bit sad when you want to look at both ends of things. Yes, I work for the Sharks and call the games. You try to call the games as neutral as possible and be fair to both ends, but you've got to see more hustle here. Here's a rolling puck, and Sharks were going to be going offside, so they'll just touch back up here with Alex Sharp and take this one D-to-D. Here for Chris Seeley. There's a good bank feed for Alex. Had to get around a phone both there, couldn't do it. As this was intercepted by Braden McLean. Chris Seeley off the step up. This number 24 is going to get his camera shot. Just a McComas a little bit too ahead for him. And this will be sticked away for a moment. Now the Wendgo, they gave it up right to McComas. And the Sharks, they got numbers here. Wilkowski out the front. Here's a feed. One more touch. And the wrister for McComas goes wide. A little bit of practice rush there for the Sharks. A lot of that's kind of been that way. And off of the drop feed. And toward the left side dot. Cross ice pass. Sharks. This one bounces in between some skate blades. Good block there for Robert Nelson. Good to see him back on the ice after taking that severe boarding hit from Sherwalk. That one did not feel good. And this pass is missed right to Hunter Keppel. And some of the fans over here for the Cheboygan side are starting to get a little bit upset with some of these passes that have not connect. Just burn whatever you got left in the tank, even if you got to burn the candle at both ends. Kieran Carlisle. Here's a sauce. Good no look to Hunter Keppel. Touch feed Cole Helgamo. Near the left side dot, that's where Hunter is. Kieran will pick this back up near the left side red line. Take this one to Brendan. Brendan off the spin and turn. 15:30 thereabouts in the third. Toward the right dot. Shovel pass, cross ice. Helgamo try to look for Keppel in front, who already has a couple in this game. Sharks pretty much gifted the puck. Cole Helgamo right at the net. This one gets deflected. Good work there for Bobby Reed. Pfeiffer. Now Helgamo right at the net. And 15-11, we get a stoppage. I was trying to see if that was going through the 5-hole, but that was closed off by Carl Bartholomew. Kieran Carlisle will take the draw. Over the head of Hunter Keppel. And Pfeiffer. Brendan Pfeiffer, he got Mulready on the backhand. This one saved by Galong. You know what he wants. with 5 minutes expired in this third. And on the backhand, right to Cole Halgama. He's a recipient of the feed. Cross ice touch. Bartholomew was down. Oh, and he got pushed into the post. Hopefully 00 is okay down there. When he tried to make the first save, he goes back into the post, and I think he pushed his right leg into it. And hopefully he just knocked the feeling out of it more than anything else. My eyes are on him right now to make sure that he's okay. He got 3 zebras over there, trying to see if he can get up and put some weight in on those pads. That is where he took the brunt after that first initial save, trying to work his way to his feet slowly. Good to see Carl get up on there underneath his own power and a good stick taps across for everybody. Don't want to see anyone get injured. That's good sportsmanship there for the Sharks. So he's good to go. And we're going to get an offensive zone draw here with Joel Skolin. Win it straight back. Donaldson surveys, goes for the cross ice pass. That's where Skolin is after winning the draw. Off the bumper. This will go just wide. And just eluding the outstretched stick of Donaldson. A little bit too far there for Pfeiffer. Lets it go. Polusha on his backhand. And that one will be a glove save. Polusha wasn't really going that hard for that break. He didn't have to, but 2 opportunities that you probably would see him finish if the score line was closer. But for the Sharks, stay away from some of that stuff you saw in the second period. Keep the third period clean and move on and get ready for tomorrow against St. Ignace. Be interested to see what those jerseys look like because I love the logo of that St. Bernard. This will be one in off the tie-up for Nolan Baldrica. And toward the right side of the goal mouth. Picked up one more time for Joe Fullerton. I believe I saw number 13 out there. As this will be flipped back down the ice. That's where Bo Golong is. This will be intercepted by Cheboygan. And that was going to test the old shutout, but Golong made his best save of the game. Kind of coughed it up and then bailed himself out. Baldrica, here we go. And that one was shot up into the netting as we got some end-to-end. So that was the toughest play of the game for Ro Golong. Got a little bit of his own doing, but he bailed himself out. That's the most important thing that you want to get as a netminder. Never mind just getting the 2 points. If you get an opportunity to do something special, regardless of what happens in the game, you want to preserve that. He flipped back here for Spencer Bowman. Good touch up there. And now Pfeiffer will skate back a little bit and a good stick sweep. Knocks it out of the way, negates the breakaway for Braden McLean. And Sheboygan's off, at least I thought McLean was. Must be an opportunity here for Jarrett. On his backhand, here's the lead for Makowski off the backside of his skate. And Zach now off the spin and turn. Try to toe drag, try to leave for Zach, but he wasn't there toward the back end of the post just yet. As this will be knocked in ahead across the blue line for Chris Martin. Right in at the net, and Bartholomew take no chances, he'll hold. Zach going to get set to take the draw here. I kind of feel like the Sharks have won about 90% on the circle as well. I mean, they've started with the puck the whole time. They've closed off everything in every zone, as we've mentioned a couple times already. This one goes into the Wendgo bench. Other than the couple fights, if you want to throw that as a slight minus, regardless of where you are on the fandom, that's about the only thing you could say against the Sharks, because everything else, whether they were challenged or not, they were clean in all of those zones. Cheboygan will get this in their own end now. Off the flip, bounces off of Chris Alston and flip back down the ice. Kippy Abbott now tried to race for it. And off the spin and turn, that's where the Sharks will be. Nice work there from McComas to get that clean out of his own end. That was not easy, as this will be flipped ahead. McComas looking for a lofted pass, just too high and off the glass. And now we'll see what Jeremy Kennedy can do. Try to push into his own end. And picked off by Theo Goody. Goody now trying to get around Kennedy. Finishes it into the right side boards. This is Kieran Carlisle. Matriculate this one with a cross ice feed. Good breakout here for McComas. McComas on a one-on-one. He's always dangerous. We'll shovel it in the corner. That's where Kieran Carlisle was. A win a stick battle toward the backside of his skate. And Seeley presses up for a hit. They force the pass right into a turnover. That's good work there for Waterford. 11:20 left to go in this third. Bouncing off the stick shaft out of the air. Theo Goody's got a hat in this game at least. Again, the official totals have stopped counting after 11 as far as the score shutouts for the sake of professionalism. But we'll definitely mark those in the official notes of the box when everything else gets uploaded. Goody, he was in a bit. That's a good save there for Bartholomew, right in the middle of the slot. We'll just circle and drag it back. And this will be picked up here for Scullin. Joel Scullin, no look feed there for Theo Goody. Just off the outside of his tape, but Theo can walk in again on his back end. He's got his skating shoes on today, as you knew that he would be. Jones in the lineup for the first time this year, as we're almost halfway through this third. This game essentially has been over through the first 6 minutes of the first, but the Sharks have been able to keep things the way that they were supposed to. I know sometimes a call can be academic. We were expecting that going into that, maybe not so much for Sunday as we said, but you want to be able to take your reservations and your thoughts and table them in for Saturday and Sunday and then play with the same type of energy. Halgamo on his backhand out of the air. Bartholomew had to juggle it for a moment, but he has it as he's pushed through the neutral zone. But it's going to be business as usual tomorrow on the 2:30 start. Sharks 2-on-2. Halgamo, see what he's got for the trailer. It's Scullin. Scullin between the circles, fires it high above the net. Halgamo now off the retrieval. Donaldson, give back to Cole. Spin and turn and leaving around the boards for Hunter Keppel. He's already got a couple in this game as well. Joel, that's a little too far for him. This backhand shovel goes up and on a play. Question now becomes for this Sunday at 2:30 is who do you start in net for the Sharks? Because Jacob Gilliam, the 31's got 12 starts. He's the backup today. Ian Morgan is usually the backup for Jacob. With whether or not the Sharks wanted to play a little bit of a different game considering who they were playing, that'll be something to talk about as well. This is picked up off the drop pass. Play again at 10. Kowski wins it back for Donaldson through the traffic. This one fought at the net. Another good save for Bartholomew, having himself a pretty decent third period. Donaldson escapes a hit. Polosha's with Mokowski. Off the leave, one-timer, finish. Gorgeous work there for the Sharks. So one-timer finish makes it 18-0. 8:51 in the third. Again, that is what your official score mark is, even before what we see on the scoreboard here. Sharks are off the drop. Kieran Carlisle look for a cross-ice feed again, but this one will be solved for Bartholomew. Now, for the Sharks, if they want to, considering where we are on the scoreboard, they can be as unselfish as possible. Any chances to get those closer, Kieran Carlisle probably uses his set of silky mitts and finish that off the backhand lift maybe. Feed now for Waterford. Kieran, turn. This one off the backside of the mesh. An opportunity for Jeremy Kennedy. Got to get this one out of the zone. Rush the other way for the Sharks. Again, what I like to see for the Zebras, at least everything else has been clean. Now for Cheboygan, I know those totals haven't been great, as here's a break. Pfeiffer, Rister, I think that was in and out of the net. He's going to get another marker here at 8:03. In and out as fast as he shot it. So that one is for Brendan Pfeiffer. I can say that officially on my notes, as it's 19-0 here. Flip back into the neutral zone, and now the Sharks have it in their own end as Cheboygan takes a change. Start again for Kieran Carlisle. Kieran gets around two. He, on the forehand now, will be denied by Bartholomew. And we'll see if the Sharks want to get to that nice even number there of 20. That would be the most I've officially seen for a differential, as this will be sticked away and then passed back, where Carr will hold, as they're able to burn a couple seconds off that clock. I think, now I've seen the score line be less than this and have the running clock, as we talked about a little bit from the second. Maybe Cheboygan had elected not to. They did elect to not take the Zamboni to ice in the second, but they're going to run this full 60. Rister here up high. Bartholomew makes the save, and Cheboygan rolling puck. Won't be far enough for icing, and the Sharks backhanded from right to left again in the home whites in the mix of the orange and black striping. They have had the vulcanized rubber all game. There really isn't anything they haven't done well. As this flips up into the netting from Chris Martin, and that'll blow the play dead automatically. For anyone that's listening on the Cheboygan broadcast, I'm trying to throw shout-outs where I can, because I do have the roster and everything else in front of me, but there really isn't much to be said off of any sort of press. There hasn't been any. Theo Goody, and this one will be saved right into the jersey of Bartholomew off the tip. But for divisions for the first time, as the Sharks in the south and we see some north teams come to Lakeland Arena this weekend, it's no fun. You take that bus ride or however they got there individually, and then you get a beating like this. You want to try to find something to feel good about. And again, I still think you got 6.5 minutes roughly to get a goal. I got to see a press here, and you can't keep playing in your own zone. See what we can get here for Jeremy Kennedy. You know, I've called his name a few times as you try to turn the burners. He gets canceled off, loses his stick. Sharp knocks it away. And now the Sharks have it. McComas, he gets tied up a little bit at 5:58. And maybe a little liberty back there, whether or not, but Justin's going to pop back up, no worse for wear. Zach lose this one as this goes back in between Bradley Gilbert. Try to get this out of his own end. Good defense for Seeley for a moment. Here is Kennedy. He lost the puck off the toe drag, but I like the idea. We'll get an aggressive move as Cole Helgamo. Now to Zach Mulkowski, and this one's wristed and held by Bartholomew as well. I want to give a congratulations. Hopefully that is warranted. I won't get yelled at on the other side for Natalie and Cole as they welcome in another baby girl to the Helgamo family. There's a lot of guys in between Spencer Bowman and Helgamo, a lot of girl dads on the Sharks team, and I can't imagine a much more rewarding feeling, so congratulations to them. Looks like we're close to about the 8:35 mark Eastern here in the PM at Lakeland Arena, and this game can be completely donezo, so keep everything as punctual so we can thank the Sharks and the Wendgo for that. As this will be bounced ahead off a couple of stick blades. Mulkowski had it for a moment, but the Sharks just continue to steal. They have it in the corner on the backhand for Keppel. Who threw it right on the net. 5:08. Gotta say, regardless of George Holt or Tyler Groth or whoever else is on that bench there for the Sharks, I gotta give them full marks at least from this third period and on, obviously, but sticking to the game plan and just doing things the right way. Yes, you had some second period stuff that got a little bit haywire there with the stick and the dynamite, but still, they're staying in the game plan there as they finish off a hit into the right side boards, and they're just playing the way they're supposed to play. Little half spin here. Donaldson gets around his man, and this goes on the bench. But it was 14-0 after one, 17-0 after two. Sharks add a couple more in this third, and they've been able to kind of kill that pilot light and kill the motor and coast the rest of the way. Again, they're not coasting on the defensive side and everything else that they're saying, but kind of ramp it down, which has been good to see and conserve or whatever else, because we'll see who's going to be part of this trip, because again, the Sharks can make the trip and have the stay overnight, and for the Sunday side, not the exception of Jake Prober, the Highland, Michigan native, just like me, they'll be able to go back into a nice warm bed, but still, we'll see what Sharks would make the trip there as well when St. Ignace comes to town at 2:30 tomorrow. Now to the right side, a little bit too far for Donaldson as we're almost at the 4-minute mark of the third. Hopefully I've paced myself enough to have a voice for Sunday. Polosha, that was just wide of the left post, but it's still very dangerous and behind the net. On the backhand, the Sharks will play it with the vulcanized rubber here. Make this cross-ice feed to Kieran Carwell from Nolan Baldrika. Kieran, sauce out of the air, looking for Nolan. Running at the net, Donaldson got it blocked. Good step up here for Kieran, throws it in the corner. And Kieran gets brushed up with some contact. Good save off Belusha there for Bartholomew. Sent back down for Rogalong. Gonna leave for Brendan Pfeiffer. See if the Sharks want to give one more, as we said, of that even number. Kieran Carlisle passed a little bit too hard to find, but the deflection still goes back to Bartholomew, who makes the stop. This is given right up in front of the circles to the Sharks. That was Jarrett Pfeiffer, wrong guy to give it to, but again, the scoreline's already been out of reach in 6 minutes in the first. Pfeiffer off the leave and give, and this will go right to the Wendgo. Wendgo now have a chance to push. It's a 3-on-2. Traffic at the net and a little bit of a stick lift negates the opportunity. Sharks see if they want to counterattack with Jarrett. Sweet toe drag. He missed it all, but he recollects his own vulcanized rubber. Now to Brennan. Brother to brother here right at the net and right in the webbing of the trapper. 2:34 of the third. So for Jacob Gilliam wearing the beanie, that's all he had to do here. Make sure to stay warm. That's been the only job, and we'll go on waiting for the next 2:30 to count down. Chancing toward the right side boards. We'll see if the Wendigo have a couple more rushes up the ice, but that's all they can say. As Scullin sitting wide open in the middle of the circles. Bounces off the end boards. Brennan Pfeiffer back pass calmly. Spencer Bowman looking through the traffic tip. About 2 minutes left. Bowman into the traffic. 1:59, we will get another whistle. Will be an ozone draw for the Sharks. So forgive me here if I take the final 2 minutes to kind of set up the proceedings, because then we can wrap up the post game a little bit quickly here. Hopefully if I don't miss any goal calls, we can throw that across the board, as McComas now has. I'm going to pull up the NHL box one more time to give you that last update as Pfeiffer gets his shot fought off there by Bartholomew. One more tip attempt. This will be held by Bartholomew. The Red Wings have opened up a can on the Sabres. It's a good thing I checked here. It was 1-1. Well, I told you, DeBrincat, Larkin, and DeBrincat again. So Larkin and the Cat doing some damage. 4-1 as they try to work themselves back into a playoff spot. Bruins taking a 2-1 lead on the Canadiens. So as we sit in this final 90 seconds, this one at the goal line stand. I think Bartholomew kept it out. 1:28 left in the third. We set the scene for tomorrow as St. Ignace sits at 3-1 on the year. Again, they're coming off a loss to the Kalkaska Kings. We'll see what they get today. We'll give you the updates as far as today's games tomorrow. We'll do those early once those go live on the respective team websites. But our next game will be in the Red Rink at 2:30 on Sunday against the Saints. And then after that, we still have 3 more home games here. It's 5 straight before about a month and 2 weeks off, somewhere around there. So don't miss the game tomorrow. Again, it's going to be a lot closer. I've been in conservation mode for a little bit because of what we've had. St. Ignace tomorrow at 2:30. And then Muskegon next Saturday. I will have some family in the building for that. That'll be on the 22nd at 5:30. And then the Sharks, another back-to-back Friday and Saturday on December 5th and 6th. As off the rush and in the net, they will get to the 20 mark. On the 5th and 6th, it'll be the Shadow at 7:30 and the Warhawks at 6:30. That's on a Friday and Saturday. But again, our next cast tomorrow at 2:30 against the Saints. So the Sharks do get to that even number, but they have another rush here if they want to, as this will be knocked away from Bowman and Halgamo. Are the Sharks going to give anything up here is the question, as this will be picked up off the rush now. And toward the right side dot, Baldrika gets canceled off the puck as the Wendigo took a first big hit that they were finishing off against Nolan, as we're down in the final 30 seconds. And off the right side of the glass, Seeley will be able to knock it away for a moment. And we'll see if the Wendigo press anymore for any more passes. Sharks flip it back in their own end. And that will effectively kill the game that we've known for a long time since the first. Sharks win this 20-0. Roel Galong gets his first start of the year. Gets the clean sheet shutout. And tomorrow we have one more game for you that we know is going to be much, much, much closer than this. St. Ignace comes to town 2:30 Eastern in the Red Rink on Sunday. It should be a good one. And I have a full roster sheet for them as well. Depends how many of them make the trip. And we'll also see coming into tomorrow's game how the Sharks lineup is going to change. Well, as we said, it's going to be a weekend of expectations. You knew they were going to get the 2 points today, but you want to lock in for tomorrow because the competition is going to get a heck of a lot harder and want to lock in all 4 points in the weekend. See if they can do that. We'll be back on the air just before 2:30 tomorrow. Peace, everybody. Have a good night. Sharks win 20-0.